Autumn is tightening its grip on Alaska. The first frost has already touched the valley. The days are growing shorter, the nights colder, and high above the river, fresh snow is beginning to settle on the mountains. For most animals, winter is a season to endure. For a grizzly bear, it is a deadline. This adult male has survived more than a decade in one of the harshest landscapes in North America. The torn edge of his left ear and the pale scar above his eye are reminders of earlier battles. He is powerful, experienced, and capable of driving almost any predator away from a carcass. But strength alone will not carry him through the coming winter. What matters now is fat. During the months ahead, food will disappear beneath snow and ice. Inside his winter den, the bear will stop eating and drinking. Every heartbeat, every breath, and every degree of body heat will have to be powered by energy stored inside his own body. And he does not yet have enough. As autumn approaches, a dramatic change takes place inside the bear. His appetite becomes almost impossible to satisfy. This period is known as hyperphagia. The bear may spend nearly every waking hour searching for food. In some grizzly populations, an animal preparing for winter can consume around 20,000 calories in a single day. Almost every decision is now controlled by hunger. He begins with what the forest can provide. Dark berries still cling to low shrubs along the riverbank. The bear strips them away with his lips, swallowing hundreds in a single mouthful. He tears open rotten logs in search of beetles and larvae. His long claws break through soil and roots as he digs for anything edible. Grizzlies are omnivores. Their diet can include grasses, roots, berries, insects, carrion, fish, and small mammals. But not all foods are equally valuable. A mouthful of berries provides energy, yet gathering enough of them takes time. The bear needs something richer. Then the wind changes. The bear stops. His nose rises into the cold air. From somewhere beyond the spruce forest comes the smell of water, mud, and fish. Several kilometers upstream, one of the great migrations of the northern wilderness is reaching its final stage. Pacific salmon have spent much of their adult lives in the ocean. Now they are returning to fresh water, often to the same river systems where their lives began. They fight against rapids, shallow gravel beds, and powerful currents to reach their spawning grounds. For the salmon, this journey is about reproduction. For the bears waiting upriver, it is the most important feast of the year. The male follows the scent through the forest. As he approaches the river, its sound grows from a distant whisper into a continuous roar. Below him, the water appears to be moving in two directions. The current runs downstream, but hundreds of red salmon are forcing their way against it. Some rest in the deeper pools. Others throw themselves at the shallow cascade, their bodies flashing beneath the surface. The bear has found the food he needs, but he is not alone. Brown bears are usually solitary. A river filled with salmon changes the rules. When food becomes concentrated in one place, several bears may tolerate one another at distances that would be impossible elsewhere. Tolerance, however, is not the same as peace. The best fishing positions are already occupied. Large males control the deepest pools and the narrow channels where salmon are easiest to catch. Females remain close to their cubs. Younger bears move cautiously around the edges, searching for opportunities without attracting the attention of a dominant adult. The scarred male enters the river downstream. The water is painfully cold, but his thick coat traps a layer of insulating air close to his skin. He steps slowly, testing the slippery stones beneath each paw. A salmon passes directly in front of him. He lunges. The fish turns in an instant and disappears between his legs. Another passes behind him. The bear spins, strikes the water, and catches nothing but spray. A grizzly may look unstoppable on land, but salmon are built for the water. Their bodies react faster than his paws, and every failed attack costs energy. Chasing them blindly will not work. The bear changes his strategy. He moves into a narrow section of the channel where the current forces the salmon close to the bank. Then he becomes still. His head remains low. His eyes follow the flashes beneath the surface. Only his ears move, turning toward every splash. A salmon enters the shallows. The bear strikes once. One paw blocks the fish's escape while his jaws close around its body. His first catch of the day is pulled onto the stones. When salmon are scarce, a bear may consume almost the entire fish. But during a plentiful run, experienced bears can become selective. The skin, brain, and eggs contain especially valuable energy, allowing a bear to gain more calories while spending less time eating less nutritious parts. This selective behavior is sometimes called high grading. Today, however, the male wastes little. He eats quickly and returns to the river. One fish will not change his chances of surviving winter. He will need many more. As the hours pass, his movements become more precise. He learns where the current slows and where frightened salmon attempt to hide beneath overhanging rocks. Sometimes he pins a fish against the gravel. Sometimes he scoops one from the water with a powerful upward strike. And sometimes he waits beside the cascade until a salmon jumps directly toward his jaws. Every successful catch adds another layer to the reserves forming beneath his skin. But success attracts attention. A younger male approaches the same channel. He is smaller, but hunger makes him bold. He moves closer, watching the older bears fish. The scarred male lifts his head. For several seconds, neither animal moves. The younger bear takes one more step. The warning comes without an attack. The older male lowers his head, pins his ears back, and releases a deep growl that can be felt almost as much as heard. The message is clear. The fish may be abundant, but this particular stretch of river is occupied. The younger bear refuses to leave. Both animals rise partially onto their hind legs. Their size is no longer hidden by the water. Paws strike the surface, sending spray across the rocks. For a moment, the confrontation threatens to become a serious fight, but injuries are dangerous at this time of year. A damaged paw could make fishing impossible. A deep bite could become infected. Winning the river would mean nothing if the victor could no longer feed. The younger male finally turns away. The scarred bear has defended his position without risking a prolonged battle. Yet he is not the most powerful bear on this river. As evening approaches, an even larger male appears near the cascade. His shoulders rise like a ridge beneath his wet coat. Other bears move away before he reaches them. He has controlled this section of the river for several seasons, and his confidence is unmistakable. The scarred male watches him catch fish after fish from the deepest pool. The location is perfect. Salmon gather beneath the falling water, exhausted by the current. A bear strong enough to hold this position can feed with far less effort. The scarred male moves closer. The larger bear notices immediately. Their confrontation begins in silence. They walk stiff-legged along the edge of the pool, each turning sideways to display his full size. Their heads remain low, their eyes never leave one another. Then, the dominant male charges. The two bears rise and collide. For several seconds, hundreds of kilograms of muscle, bone, and wet fur struggle in the shallow water. Their jaws snap near each other's shoulders. Paws strike with enough force to tear open flesh. But the scarred male quickly recognizes the difference between courage and survival. The larger bear is stronger. Rather than continue a fight he is unlikely to win, he breaks away and retreats downstream. He has lost the best fishing pool, but not the season. Survival in the wild does not always belong to the animal that wins every battle. It often belongs to the one that knows which battles are worth fighting. Farther downstream, the scarred male discovers a side channel hidden behind fallen trees. The water is shallower here. Several salmon have become trapped between gravel bars, and no dominant bear is guarding them. The catch is less predictable, but the competition is lower. For the next several days, this becomes his feeding ground. He eats through the morning. He sleeps briefly beneath the trees during the warmest part of the afternoon. Then he returns to the river and fishes until the light disappears. Ravens gather around the remains. Bald eagles watch from branches above the water. Foxes and smaller scavengers arrive after darkness. The salmon the bear carries into the forest spread marine nutrients far beyond the riverbank, feeding an entire community of life. And slowly, the bear changes. His neck becomes thicker. His belly hangs lower. Fat collects around his shoulders and beneath his skin. The same body that appeared merely powerful at the beginning of autumn is becoming a living storehouse of energy. But the salmon run cannot last forever. Many fish have now completed their journey. Their bright colors fade, their bodies weaken, and the number moving through the river falls each day. At the same time, the weather begins to turn. A cold front crosses the mountains. Rain becomes sleet. Sleet becomes snow. By morning, the forest is white. Ice forms in the quiet edges of the river. The remaining salmon move slowly in the colder water, but they are now scattered and difficult to find. The bear searches the pools that fed him only days earlier. Most are empty. He follows the river for hours until he detects movement in a shallow channel. Beneath a shelf of thin ice, one large salmon is still fighting upstream. The bear enters the water for what may be the final hunt of the season. The fish slips past his first strike. It escapes the second. The bear follows it into water deep enough to reach his chest. The current pushes against him, carrying broken ice around his legs. Then the salmon turns toward the bank. The bear lunges and closes his jaws around it. This single fish cannot determine his survival, but it marks the end of the great opportunity that has shaped his autumn. The river has given him all it can. Now he must leave. The male turns away from the water and begins climbing toward the higher slopes. Most bears prepare dens in protected places where deep snow can provide additional insulation. Depending on the region, they may dig into a hillside, shelter beneath roots, or use a natural cavity. Adult males often enter their dens later than females, particularly when high-quality food remains available. The scarred male inspects several possible sites. One is too exposed to the wind. Another is already wet inside. Finally, beneath the roots of a spruce on a steep, sheltered slope, he finds soil that is dry enough to excavate. His claws, used only weeks earlier to catch salmon, now become digging tools. He tears into the earth, widening the chamber and pushing loose soil behind him. He gathers dry grass and branches, forming a rough bed inside. Outside, the snowfall becomes heavier. The bear circles once, then lowers his massive body into the darkness. His breathing begins to slow. During hibernation, a bear's heart rate and respiration fall dramatically. Its body temperature decreases only moderately compared with many smaller hibernating mammals. For months, it can survive without eating, drinking, urinating, or defecating, drawing energy and water from the fat accumulated during the feeding season. The river continues to freeze. Snow covers the tracks leading to the den. Soon, there is nothing left on the mountainside to reveal the animal sleeping beneath it. The grizzly did not control the best pool. He did not win every confrontation, but he found enough food, avoided a crippling injury, and recognized the moment when the river could offer no more. For the next several months, the mountain will hear nothing from him. Yet beneath the snow, the bear remains alive, surviving on the energy of one final autumn hunt.